Hey, everybody. Welcome to a special Facebook Live today for Handy Quilter. I'm Kim Sandberg, and today with me is
Shauna Westergaard.
We are so excited. Sorry we were a few minutes late getting started this morning. It was definitely a little bit of some technical issues, so just want everybody to know that. But we are really excited to be here. So excited. We get to do some fun stuff with Christmas in July, don't we?
Yep, excited. I love Christmas and I love July because it's my birthday month. So we're doing both together.
Oh,
it's not for me, but that's what I tell myself.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay, so as you all know, we have some really awesome special promos going on right now. So I want to talk to everybody about that very first. First of all, we are going to be doing some giveaways during this live. So be sure and use what are they putting in the comments, Shauna?
You have to comment. It's hashtag HQ Elves.
Yes.
ELVES. Elves.
Yes.
HQ Elves.
So just drop that HQ hashtag HQ Elves in a comment and you will be entered for the drawing. We are giving away a $50 gift card, good to use at handyquilter.com. So if you want to get some needles or a ruler or
batting scissors.
Oh, seriously, you guys.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, batting scissors. Good choice. Good choice. Be sure and comment with that. Okay. Number two, we have a couple of really great promos going on right now. Number one, we have started a new program. It's a trade up program. So if you already have a long arm, but you'd like to trade up to something a little nicer, a little better, be sure to give us a call. We can talk to you about different options and trade ups that are available. So be sure to give us a call about that. Just know that those trade ups, it's a new thing we're doing and you should absolutely take advantage of it if you'd like to trade up your current machine. Then, okay.
And there should be that number on the screen.
Yes.
As we're going, we'll have that number put up on the screen. So if you want to call and ask about the trade up, we can definitely do that.
Well, can you share that calling doesn't mean that they have to do it?
Okay. And just so you know, you can just call for a quote. If you're just curious, you just want to get an idea of the ballpark of what your current machine is worth as a trade up, just give us a call. We have people standing by who are more than happy to talk to you about that. So the number is down below. I know it will also be placed in the comments for you. So you can jump on that. Okay, then number three, our current promo. So we always have really fun promos. We like to think up things that are going to help people get started with quilting with their long arm machine. So with the current promo, we have the bundle. Choose your bundle, pick your bundle. So we have 3 different options. And I love this because who doesn't love choices, right, Shauna?
Oh, yes. I already know which one I would pick.
I know. I'm like, which one would I do? Okay, so number 1, you can add a highlight to your machine. And highlights are fantastic. We don't have a highlight set up on this machine, but we're going to be swapping this out for the Amara later on in this segment, and we will show you the highlight. So it's a fabulous set of lights that goes over the top of your machine. If your quilting
that
studio,
on any frame?
Yep.
The highlight for any frame?
Yep. You can put it for any frame and it comes in all different sizes. And depending on the type of frame you have, it's either integrated into the frame or it's freestanding. You can even use the highlight over different machines. For a lot of years, I know that in my quilting studio, I had my highlight over my regular domestic sewing machine because I didn't have windows in that room.
That's brilliant, actually.
So that extra light.
I do turn on my highlight just to fill the whole room.
Yeah, I know. You turn it on and then it's like the angels sing, right?
Yes, it's true.
It's so much light. It's so great. So first choice, you can pick a highlight to go with your machine. Number 2, you can choose a thread and batting bundle. Now this is awesome. So tell us about the thread and batting.
This is the one I would pick. Yes, because as a quilter, you never have enough thread.
Amen.
You have to have so many options and you've got to try all the different stuff. So when I'm teaching classes for long arming, I always tell people that you need to try all the different thread types so that you know what you're comfortable with and you get the different results from the different thread. So anyway, the second bundle is a thread and batting bundle. The thread is from Superior Threads, which we love. I'm definitely a Superior Threads girly.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever used, well, I mean, I've used other stuff, but I always Superior Threads.
Yeah.
And then the batting is from
American Fiber.
American Fiber. Yep. American Fiber. So, and we're excited to be working with them now too. They've got some really great stuff. So The third bundle. This is a really good one too.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay. I maybe I went this one. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're doing the third bundle is Pro Stitcher Designs. You can get $500 worth of designs from Pro Stitcher Designs. That's just on the website, right? They can go in and get them there.
Yep, from Pro Stitcher Patterns. And this is awesome because while Pro Stitcher comes with a huge library of designs, whether you get light or premium, there's always that extra design that you want. Maybe you want to get the Dream Big set.
Oh yeah.
Or you want to get a really fun one. Like I know, for example, the design that's quilted on this quilt right here, this one right behind us that has the Christmas quilt here. Heidi did get this one from Pro Stitcher Patterns, and it's a really cute one. And so, you know, if you want something that's a little bit holiday themed, something that's a little bit fun like that for one of your projects, you're going to have this awesome credit to be able to do that. So if you're adding a Pro Stitcher to a current machine, which remember, you can always do that. You can just add a Pro Stitcher to your current machine. That Pro Stitcher Patterns bundle is perfect.
I have been looking at a lot of the more modern type designs that are coming out. Oh, I love them. I'm gonna have to get me some of those too.
We have some really great designers on Pro Stitcher Patterns that do some really great modern designs. One of them, I'll just put a little plug in here, is her company name is called The Quilting Mill, and her name is Barbie Mills. We both know Barbie. She's the gal who lives here locally. She does fantastic designs. She's going to be on tomorrow afternoon with me, and we're going to be talking about the design thing.
I'm so excited.
I know.
Her designs are great because you know they're going to stitch out really well.
Yep.
She's very thorough. I love her designs.
She is. And she knows how to design them so they stitch out beautifully. So lots of great designers in addition to the in-house designs that are available on Pro Stitcher Patterns.
Yep.
So, yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, I think we covered all the business at the top of the hour.
Yes. And so for the giveaway, hashtag HQElves, ELVES, that is going to be the end. But you do have to if you're going to get entered for that, you do have to do it. Well, you can do it right at the very end, I guess, but do it now. Just type it in, put it in the comments.
Exactly.
We also do have someone who is looking at comments as we go. So if you guys have questions, type them in the comments. They'll shout them out to us and we can answer questions. Absolutely. We're all about answering questions.
Yes, especially this morning, because the topic for this morning is basically, how do you choose the long arm that's right for you? Right. And so Shauna and I are going to talk about the Moxie family, and then we're going to talk about the Amara family in the second half. And we're going to talk to you about the kinds of things you want to consider as you're choosing which long arm is right for you. Everything from the size of the machine, the size of the frame, the speed, the different features that come with it. Should you add to Pro Stitcher or not? What's right for you? So we're going to answer all of these questions, but please, please, please put those comments in there, send those in. It will help us make sure that we're giving you the information that you want.
Yep.
So let's start with talking about the Moxie family.
Okay.
So first of all, what I want to talk about here is, some of you are probably even just like, what do you mean by family? Well, here at Handy Quilter, to kind of try to streamline things and make it a little bit easier to understand the lineup of machines we have. We have three families, two of which we're going to be talking about today. So we have the Moxie family, which is like our entry level, a little more budget friendly, maybe not quite as many features, a little smaller, just an overview, and then you move up to the Amara, and we'll get into that later. But we're going to start with talking about the Moxie. So this is the Moxie. So Shauna, tell us a little bit about the Moxie. Let's talk about some of our favorite features of the Moxie.
So the Moxie is our most affordable, is what I will call it.
Yes.
And this one is a 15-inch throat space. So when you start talking about machines, everyone's always asking what kind of machine, and we always go to throat space. It depends on what kind of quilting you want to be doing, but really the Moxie is big enough. You can get, you can basically do everything that you want to do starting off with the Moxie.
Absolutely.
The only thing that if we start talking about throat space, the only thing that I kind of bring up is if you're doing a lot of blocks on point, like if you have a quilt, when it's on point, that's obviously a bigger space that you want to be quilting. And that's the only thing that I would say would not fit in the throat space is when you have blocks on point. So, but with a 15-inch throat space, When you compare it to a domestic machine,
Oh.
by the way, I am so terrible at quilting on domestic machines. I've tried it a total of 2 times and it was terrible and I will never do it again. Because I have a long arm and I
Right.
know how amazing it is, right? So throat space is 15 inches.
Mhm.
And so with this machine, we have handlebars that are stationary.
Mhm.
It does have the buttons at the top. All of our machines will have buttons on the handlebars so
Yes.
that you can manipulate the machine.
Mhm.
Oh, one of my very favorite features, I'm sure we'll go over this multiple times, but all of the machines have all of the feet
Mhm.
are interchangeable.
Yep.
Like if you're on a Moxie family machine and you decide to upgrade, you can keep all your feet.
Yep.
They transition, that's not the right
Well,
word.
they're the same throughout.
Yeah,
We've
across the
standardized
field.
it,
That's
and
the
they
word,
work on all the machines. So
Yes,
that is,
yes.
yep.
Same thing for needles.
Mhm.
Like it makes it very easy that when you are using your machine, you don't have to worry about that.
Yep. Exactly.
What else do we love about this machine? Oh, I'm going to say this about bobbins too. Bobbins are standardized across everything too.
And what size of bobbins do we use? They're not little bobbins.
Oh
are
no,
they?
they're
M.
huge.
M
Yes.
stands for the most. That's the way I like to look at it.
I love it. I haven't
The
heard that
most.
before.
the most thread on a bobbin.
That
M
you can
class
fit.
bobbins. Yeah,
Oh.
they're great. And you can wind your own, which by the way, all of our machines come with a bobbin winder, a standalone bobbin winder, which is really nice because you can wind bobbins while your machine's running. If you have a pro stitcher on it,
Yes.
your machine could be doing its thing and you can wind bobbins.
Mhm.
And you can also use pre-wound bobbins, which is really great. Oh, look at that. It
We
suddenly
have a magic
appears.
quilt
This is the bobbin winder that comes with the Moxie. You can see the nice little Moxie sticker here. And it's a great little bobbin winder.
Do you want to know what's funny?
Mm.
So I was winding bobbins on this bobbin winder and was not paying attention. And somehow the thread like caught around this and it flung the spring and we can't find it anywhere.
Oh, no.
So the really cool thing about Handy Quilter is you can just order this piece,
Yeah.
which I did.
Mhm.
So that was a little oopsie on my part,
Yeah.
but it still works just fine.
Yep. Absolutely. And that is something to talk about with all of our machines. We do offer, I want to say, the best support in the industry.
Oh, yes.
We can help you out with whatever you need. We still have people who bring in we like to call them vintage. Yeah, go ahead. You could set that over there. They're vintage HQ16s, which is the original machine we started manufacturing back in, I believe it was 2025. I'm probably going to get
2020.
not 2005.
Yeah, I thought it was 2003, but you're probably right at
2003, 2004, 2005.
I don't
Somewhere around there is when we started manufacturing the original HQ16.
Yep.
Those machines are still out there doing fabulously. We like to call those the vintage.
That's
the
what I
vintage
started on.
lineup. I know.
Yep.
It's a great machine.
It is.
It's a great machine. Still carry parts for those. So, that's one of the things. We know that these machines are an investment and you buy one and you plan on keeping it for a long time.
Yes.
And so knowing that you're going to have that service and support and be able to get parts down the road and just keep it running well, that's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a big peace of mind.
It is.
Really. Yeah.
It really, really is.
So it also comes with a ruler base plate.
Yes. You can add you can do a ruler base on the Moxie, which is great. And just so you know, one of the things we've done, once again, standardizing throughout the families, the Moxie ruler base works on either machines.
Yeah, grab the ruler base to show.
I love this. You guys can't see this, but Lily is madly running around the room, grabbing all these things as we happen to mention them. But yeah, this is the ruler base, and it's cool. It's got the little Moxie word etched on it right there. I don't know if we can we
this way?
And can we see that there? Yes. If I put it down in front of the fabric, it's usually a little easier to see, right? But it's etched in there because it works with either one of the machines in the Moxie family. So, and this is great. It just it gives you that little table for ruler safety. You're able to hold it where you're supposed to. I even love to use this if I'm doing like piecing on the long arm, things like that, because it just extends that throat plate space so that you have that nice little table to do that. So that's absolutely something that you can add.
But I love how easy this is to put on. So we have these little brackets here. I'll let you put it on, but it's so easy. You literally just put it down and pop it in.
Yeah. So if we look here at the side of the machine, we have these little knobs right here, which, by the way, when you purchase a Moxie, these little knobs come with the screws with your ruler base, and you simply screw them in on the side. And then all you do to install a ruler base is you place it just right there with a little bit ahead of it. I've got a little bit of a space right here, and then we just push back. And it snaps right around those little knobs that I showed you there on the side, and now it's nice and solid, and it's not going anywhere. And here's a question we always get.
Yes.
Can I leave the ruler base on all the time? The answer is
yes.
Go for it. Absolutely. So we'll actually just leave that one on there for right now.
I love
it. Just leave it on there. So we can add all of these different accessories to the Moxie. We can even add the quilt from the back kit. Now, I don't have a quilt from the back kit set up.
I didn't even think about that with the Moxie.
Yeah.
Oh,
but you can add the quilt from the back kit. And what it does is it puts a second set of handlebars on the back of the machine. And then that allows you to quilt from the back, meaning you can lay a pantograph, which is a long piece of paper with a design on it. There's a little laser that you attach to the back of the machine here, and then you use that laser just to follow the designs. Have you ever done?
Yes, I have. I was actually going to say, why would you do a pantograph?
Yeah, so tell us, why would you do a pantograph?
So a pantograph is a great way to get an edge-to-edge look without having Pro Stitcher.
Yeah.
So, and it's a really easy way to say, okay, well, I'm going to buy this $15 roll of paper that has the design on it, and I'll give it a go and see if I like it before you really commit. And actually trying the back, like the quilt from the back handlebars, is what made me decide I wanted a Pro Stitcher.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I really love quilting from the front of the machine because I feel like I can manipulate the fabric more, or like pay attention to the quilt if I need to. That does not mean that you can't do it though. Quilting from the back, you still have a lot of control with the stitches, and so there's no issues with that. It's just personal preference, really.
Well, and it's one of those things that you can try out. I know a lot of people will start with quilt from the back with the pantograph. And over time, you do those same patterns again and again. And it's just like tracing a pattern. I was thinking the other day, my mom does a lot of like embossing, and she has these cool stencils and she draws things through them and does all this. But she's gotten to the point that she doesn't even have to use her stencils half the time to be able to draw the designs because she's done them so many times. The same thing happens with a pantograph. It's actually a great way to learn free motion quilting designs, because once you've done 2 or 3 quilts with that same pattern, you learn that stitch path, and it converts very easily to the front of the machine.
Oh yes, very easily.
So, you know,
and then you're more confident when you do a lot of like the other kinds of stitching, because once you've mastered it with the back of the machine, like you said, so then you can do all your feathers and swirls and stuff, and they're beautiful on the front.
Exactly, exactly. You learn that stitch path, you get that that muscle memory, and you can easily do that. So you can absolutely do that with the Moxie, the 15-inch machine, our as you put, our most budget-friendly machine. This is a really great machine.
Yeah.
Now, it is a basic machine, we'll tell you that, but it also makes it very easy to use because it's simple. It does not have a touch screen. What we do is we navigate the screen using the buttons on the handlebars. It does come with a nice printed card that has the very simple and easy to follow. It's only a half a page about that of how to navigate that. So it's easy to do.
What does it navigate for you? Like what can you do?
So you can change the different stitch modes you're in. So stitch modes, you want to talk about stitch modes for
I'm
a
going
minute?
to let you do stitch modes.
You're going to let me talk
This is a pop quiz. See if you can do it.
I can do stitch modes all day long. So we have all handy quilter machines have 3 different stitch modes. So we have manual, which means who's the stitch regulator, the machine or you?
You have to do it yourself. Yep.
Exactly. And
which is how the Simply or the
HQ16?
The HQ16 was. You had to manually. Yep.
Yeah. No stitch regulation to start with. And if you are used to quilting on your home machine, like your domestic machine, chances are you don't have a stitch regulator.
Yep.
So you're already used to that.
Yep.
You might ask, when would I actually use this? Well, if I'm doing micro quilting or things like that, where I'm doing really dense quilting, I really love to do that in manual because stitch length really doesn't matter.
Yep. So manual feels different in that the machine is just, the needle is moving consistently at one speed. And so sometimes it takes a minute to get used to, but you can get really good stitches when you're following the speed of the machine.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the things that we definitely, it's one of the reasons why we love our long arms, is moving into those regulated stitches. So with stitch regulation, we have 2 different modes. First mode is precision.
Okay.
And precision is precise.
Yes.
That means that the needle is only going to move when I'm moving the machine. So when I'm doing something like rulers, or I want to give myself maybe a little bit of extra time to think about where I'm going with the design, precision is really nice because when I pause, that needle is not going to just be cycling, right?
Yep.
So that's precision. And what we do is we choose how many stitches per inch we want stitch. And with the Moxie, it goes from 4 to
Is it 14?
14.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite sweet spot stitches per inch?
So I usually stitch, I'm going to say, okay, this is going to sound like a really big range. I usually go anywhere from 10 to 14 because it just depends on the type of stitching I'm using. If I'm doing a really big loose edge to edge design, meaning I'm doing the same design all over the entire quilt, for those of you who don't know what edge to edge means, say I'm just doing a nice big stipple all over the whole quilt. I'll do like a 10 because it's faster and I just want to get that baby done, right?
Yep.
If I am doing some really detailed, tight quilting, I will go up to a 14 because say I'm doing tiny little pebbles. If I'm doing 10 stitches per inch, those little pebbles are going to look like stop signs.
Yeah, that's true.
And so the smaller your stitches, the smoother something like that is going to look.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider. So I do kind of that range there. Honestly, I probably stitch around an 11 or 12 most of the time.
That's usually where I'm at, but my reasoning is because an 11 is easier to unpick than a 14.
And there's some real truth there. Trust me. When I'm stitching with that 14, you think I'm doing any unpicking? I'm like, no,
that's done.
That's done. That's a design choice. Where can I repeat it? Because if it happens twice in a quilt, it's a design choice.
Yes.
It's not a mistake.
Yep. Oh, I
Just
love
remember
that.
that.
Yeah. Okay, that's your advice for the day. Write that down. If you make a mistake, it's not a mistake. Repeat it again and call it a design choice.
Exactly. And for the ultimate, do it 3 times and then it really truly
cements it.
Yes,
I love that.
Exactly. Design choice. Okay, so that's precision. Now let's talk about cruise.
Okay.
Cruise is what I actually stitch in most of the time.
Me too.
So
okay.
cruise is kind of
curious.
a combination of manual and regulated because cruise means that needle is always cycling. So if I stop and hold my machine still, that needle is going to keep cycling. Now, this is really nice if I'm quilting, for example, something that has points on it, because you tend to kind of slow down at that point. And if I'm quilting in precision, for example, and I slow down a little bit, I might actually miss that stitch up on that point. Yeah. Whereas because that cruise, that needle is never going to cycle below a certain point, it's always going to keep going and I will get that nice point up at the top. Yeah. To come back down again.
That's me too. I do. Yeah. I do cruise most of the time.
And then we always get the question, what's your favorite cruise number? What do you like just for regular all over quilting?
I don't even know. I should go check.
I know. I get asked this often enough. So here's my answers. If I'm usually somewhere between like 150 and 250 is my normal like comfort zone.
Yeah.
Now, just because that's what works for me doesn't mean I'm not saying that's what it has to be. That's just what works for me.
Right.
So
I'm curious now. I'll go check my settings and see what I'm at most of the time.
You'll pay attention.
I am. I'm going to pay attention.
You'll pay attention to it now. So that's stitch regulation.
Yes.
In not a nutshell. That was actually quite a big nutshell. We talked about that a bit, but hopefully you got some good information there. So what the nice thing is, the Moxie 15, our most budget-friendly machine, has these 3 modes, and you have this ability to choose what's best for your project. Now, another thing that I really recommend is always give all of them a try. Don't just go, oh, well, Kim said
cruise.
No. Kim said try all 3 and then choose what works best for you.
Yeah.
So I really do recommend that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got that. Other things that you can change on the screen. So you can choose if your needle is going to stop in the needle down or needle up position. So Shauna,
and when would you? I'll tell you.
I was going to say, Shauna, you get to answer this question.
Okay. So needle down, needle up. I do needle down anytime I'm doing ruler work, anytime I'm doing free motion. I really do it all the time, I think, if I'm on the, okay, so needle down means that when you are quilting along and then you push the stop button on your handlebar, the needle will cycle to stay down. And you can do that for if you're going to be repositioning the quilt, if you want to drag with your needle in. That's a personal preference. We can get to that later if we want to. But I also like it because when I'm doing a lot of free motion quilting, I'll quilt along, do my feathers, my pebbles, whatever it is. And then I have to pause the machine and think about my thread path. So that's my biggest thing, because I usually think in sections. So I'll do like a block or 2 blocks at a time that I have my thread path figured out.
Okay.
And so I will get to the end of my 2 blocks and I'll stop my machine with the needle down. And that's kind of like my bookmark, that I get to have the needle down, have the machine wait, and then I can step back and look at the quilt and see where I want to replicate my mistakes to make design choices.
That's good. Very good.
So I always stitch with needle down when I'm doing anything free motion, anything with my hand on the machine. Otherwise, like in Pro Stitcher, it's just always needle up.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can also change the lighting too, though, right?
Yes, absolutely. You can adjust the lighting, which is really nice. We right now, just so you guys know, we have the lighting turned off on machines whenever we're filming, because the lighting is so bright. It completely whites out underneath machines.
Which is what you want when you're quilting, but not when you're filming.
Exactly. We want you guys to be able to see that. So you can adjust the lighting, which is really nice. You can also go in, there's some great information that you can access. So you can go in and check your stitch count. So have you checked your stitch count on your machine lately?
No. Well, my stitch count had to start over.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You had a little repair.
Yeah.
So I actually was just looking at my stitch count and I was feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
I am up to just over 20 million stitches.
No.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it sounds like a lot, but that's
pretty good.
Yeah, really good. When did I get my machine? I got my machine in 2019.
2019. So 6 years.
Yep, 6 years.
That's actually pretty good.
And something to be said, I do a lot of quilting, but I don't always do it at home.
Yeah,
so this is me talking about my machine at home. People are always like, how many, well, you have a machine. I'm like, I have 27 machines, because I have the machines in the education studio, the machines in here. I have a lot of machines that I have access to.
Yeah. And that you probably have a lot more stitches in your lifetime count. Not just on your machine.
Absolutely. Because I do a ton of quilting at work.
Yeah.
So, lucky me. Anyway. So those are, some of the great features on the Moxie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
We need to talk the carriage. So one of the main differences between the Moxie family and the other families, the carriage is different. So the machine has 4 wheels. And then the carriage has 4 wheels.
So why don't you scoot this Moxie XL down, and Lily ought to be able to get a shot of that there from the side so you can see. It's a little bit of a different setup.
Yeah. And so this is still a very good, consistent way to set your machine up. There's nothing wrong with it. We're actually able to get away with doing this because these machines are a little bit lighter.
Exactly.
And so, but it also makes them more budget friendly. Because we have these carriages with only 4 wheels. Yep. So this is the wheel that we're talking about on the machine. There's 4 of these on the machine, and they ride on this track. And this part down here is called the carriage. And the carriage carries the machine, right? Yeah. And then the carriage has 4 wheels that run on these tracks here. And this is how we're able to get our stitch regulation, is we have an X and a Y axis that we use to move the machine. And so this is going to be one of the big differences between the Moxie family and the Amara family. Exactly. Is the carriage. But the carriage also determines Pro Stitcher.
Yes, it does.
Is that a good segue for you?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was just going to say, and what is the final, ultimate accessory that you can add to any one of the machines in the Handy Quilter lineup? And that's a Pro Stitcher. Yep. So what is Pro Stitcher in a nutshell for somebody who doesn't know?
It's computerized quilting.
Exactly.
It's being able to set your machine and have it do the quilting for you. Yeah. And one of the reasons, I think the biggest reason people do Pro Stitcher is it's precise. You get really precise results right off the bat. Yep. And you can do all of those things manually. You can get really good results. It just takes a little practice. That's all. Yep. But it does take practice to run Pro Stitcher. So I guess you get practice both ways.
Exactly. And that's one thing I always want to stress with Pro Stitcher. I know that some people, there's kind of this misconception out there that computerized quilting is like cheating or something like that. But let me tell you something. It's learning a different skill set. It's still learning a skill set. Now, don't let me say that and then have you go, oh, well, this is going to be too hard to learn. No. It's actually quite simple. And I truly believe this. One of our other educators, Sandy, who was on yesterday, she says this all the time. And I'm like, Sandy, I'm totally stealing this phrase from you. I love this phrase. She's like, if you can use your phone, if you can use a smartphone, you can use a Pro Stitcher. And it's true.
That is true.
It's true. Very true. It's as simple as opening an app and then navigating through it, or something that I know you can all do. Open your pictures and show people your current quilt project.
Yes.
We all can do that. Exactly. Right. So if you can do that, you can quilt with a Pro Stitcher.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep.
We got you covered. So, yeah, Pro Stitcher is precise. It's also, I love it because I think of it as like the ultimate lazy / efficient quilting.
Yes.
Because I can set it up, and especially for edge to edge designs, the machine runs and I can go over here to the other side of the room and work on something else,
Yes.
right? Do you do that?
Yes. I will tell you, people that may not be familiar with computerized quilting think that we just turn it on and leave.
No.
So no, when the machine is running, I am home, I'm with that machine. So I have my machine set up in a huge room in my basement. So half of it is for me and half of it is for the kids.
Perfect.
So I'm in the huge room, but I can hear like if the bobbin runs out or something, right? Because just because the machine is running computerized does not mean it's running by itself.
Right.
You still have to know how to set it up. You have to watch the tension. You have to have the quilt loaded correctly, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, though, I feel like learning Pro Stitcher. I love Sandy's analogy. I hadn't heard her say that before.
Isn't that
Yes.
a great one?
Yeah.
If you can use a smartphone, you can use Pro Stitcher.
Yes. So I think the only learning curve, I'm trying to think about when I started with Pro Stitcher. I think the learning curve for me was, I think manipulating the designs to get them to look how I wanted.
Like the right size and filling the space.
Yeah, yeah. Because when you're doing an edge-to-edge design, so throat space, for instance, this one is a 15-inch throat space. So if I pulled in a design and it populated to 20 inches, that won't fit. So, but again, learning the programming is very easy, that you can size it down.
Exactly.
And then you're good to go. Yeah.
It's Pro Stitcher is really fun because you can take any design and you can manipulate it in a lot of different ways. As a matter of fact, I think, let me double check here. Is it working so we can show everybody the Pro Stitcher screen? Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at the Pro Stitcher screen. I'm just going to pull the machine over here and we're going to do a couple of things here. So if everybody takes a look at the screen, first of all, I have a design here on the screen. You guys can see I've got a sawtooth star loaded. And then
Which is the best kind of star, by the way.
Yes, it is.
I have to throw
It's a
that in there.
fantastic star. And then you can see that I've got these orange crosshairs moving around on the screen. What do the orange crosshairs represent?
They represent your needle. So when you're moving the machine, the needle is moving across your project.
Yep.
And so the screen is showing you where the needle is moving in relation to the designs you have pulled up.
Exactly. So I am just moving this around. So one of the things we can do is deciding where to place a design. So if I look at the quilt I've got set up right now, I can come up here and we have tabs across the top. And you can see by that yellow circle, I just selected the area tab. Now an area is a space that we set up so that we can see on the screen what the space looks like and where it is on the quilt. So the two correspond.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a multi-point area here and just show you guys how easy it is. I'm going to do 4 points in the center of a star that's printed on this quilt. And then we're going to get this design into that area. So Shauna, walk me through, how would you do this?
So first, I've had a couple of people as I've talked them through this, that it takes them a minute to understand area. So all I try to say is the area on the quilt that you're working on.
Exactly.
So the area that you just did, I don't know which camera view you were on, but we just did the center point of this bigger star. We just did the square inside.
So I did points at these 4 corners there.
Yes.
And that is the pink box on the screen.
Yes. And I love doing this, creating an area with a multi-point, because I never have square blocks. Never, ever. That is just not my forte. So it allows you to put designs into squares that are never perfectly square. So, which I love. Okay, so there's a couple ways. The other thing I love about Pro Stitcher, there's always a couple ways to do things.
Absolutely.
Right? So if I tell you one way, I'll show you one way and then you can back it up and use it another way. Does that work?
Yeah, that works.
So my favorite thing, we have a tab at the top of the Pro Stitcher screen called Modify. That is my very favorite. I call it the goodie bar. That's where you get to play with everything.
I love it.
And I'm going to have you do skew if you can. So there's a skew button. And what that does is it takes your design and it skews it into your area. So it makes it fill the whole area that you've already populated. Okay. So go ahead and hit your skew.
So skew, just regular skew.
Yeah, try regular
Okay.
skew. So the fun thing, we have a couple of different skew options.
Mhm.
When you're working with an area that's square, the skews work pretty similarly.
Mm.
But if you're working with, if you've done a multi-point around like a circle,
Mhm.
then the skews will work very different.
Yes, they will.
So just like that, we have created our star
Uh-huh.
to stitch in the center of the star on the quilt.
Yep.
That easy.
Exactly.
But first, baseline.
But first.
We joke about that all the time. Baseline is the button that you use to say, I've made all of these changes to this file, this design that I want to stitch out. Baseline makes them, well, pinned together is probably not the right way to say it. How do you say it?
Well,
when
you
say
know what?
baseline?
Actually, if you look at the baseline icon,
Yeah.
it is a pin through a fabric.
Yeah.
So you saying pin together is actually really well.
Okay.
It locks the changes.
Yes.
Just like when you put a pin in a seam to lock those two seams together.
Mhm.
And it holds them in place until you stitch them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah. So really it really is as simple as that. To place a design in an area and then be able to stitch it out.
Mhm.
So Pro Stitcher is awesome because it just gives you a lot of great options to be able to put designs on your quilt exactly where you want them and quilt them out with precision, like you were
Yes,
saying.
with precision. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so
do we want to mention a few things about the?
I wanted to, I'm like, let's take a second and
Okay.
talk about the Moxie. But before we do that, what I want to do is kind of segue across because let's notice that both of these machines are sitting on a frame.
Oh, yes.
What frame is this? Because this is the frame that comes standard with both of the Moxie machines. So the Moxie 15-inch, Moxie L, and Moxie XL, 18-inch. So both of them come standard on this frame. It's called the loft frame.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about the loft frame?
The loft frame it comes in 8 foot.
Standard at 8 foot.
Standard at 8 foot. And this one is, because we have our lighter machines on it, it's a little bit of a lighter frame, which also is, again, at our budget-friendly price, right? And I am going to say, if you guys have questions on the pricing, you can always call the number. We have that number up on the screen. We put it in the comments. If you guys want to call and get an idea on pricing, that's the number to call. We have people waiting. Should I give a little nudge about the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you
we're going to
absolutely
do, remind you, if you're coming in late, we are doing a giveaway. We're going to do hashtag HQElves. I'm spelling it out for anyone who knows sign
There you
language.
go.
ELVES. I have to say it that way because I'm like, I hear different things.
No, I love that. And I am going to grab
You
something
step
to
out.
drink while
You
you're
step
talking
out.
about this for a second.
So we are doing a giveaway with that hashtag. You have to drop in the comments hashtag HQElves for our Festivus giveaway, Christmas Festivus. So it's a $50 gift card to the Handy Quilter website. And I already know that I would buy myself another pair of batting scissors if I won, because I freaking love those batting scissors. Have we talked about those?
No, but I'll
We'll
tell
get
you
to it.
something else fun that you could buy. We have things like this mug.
That's also true. I have 2 of these. I do love that mug. That's a good mug.
So there's even fun stuff like this, like fun swag stuff that you
Yep.
could buy with that $50 gift card. Yep.
So yes, that's enter to win the giveaway. We're going to be doing that at the end, right before we break for lunch. So make sure and get your comments in so we know that you've entered for the giveaway. We are also doing a trade up system where if you have like maybe a Moxie and you're like, I love my Moxie, I love the 18-inch throat space on our XL, but now you're like, wait a minute. You've realized, like all long armors do, that you want more throat space. Yes. So if you're interested in trading up, you can call that number. We've got it. I don't know if it's on the screen or in the comments. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Call that number and you can ask some questions about trading in. We will give you quotes. We'll answer questions. We're good for helping you guys figure out which machine is right for you. Lastly, the bundle. We mentioned this at the beginning, but I'm going to do a quick little plug for it now. We're doing a pick your bundle promo. So when you buy a machine?
Yeah, when you buy a machine.
Or does Pro Stitcher count?
Or Pro Stitcher counts as a machine. So even if you're just adding a Pro Stitcher, you're adding the finishing touch to your long arm.
There you go.
A Pro Stitcher.
So if you buy Pro Stitcher or if you buy another machine, does it work for just the trade up? Just the trade up too?
Yeah.
Okay. So buying a machine, adding Pro Stitcher, doing the trade up, you can get one of these 3 bundles. So the first one is the highlight, and we'll show that in a little bit. It's a light bar that goes across your long arm workspace. Kim told me that you used it in your other sewing area, which
I
is
actually
brilliant.
had one over my domestic machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is brilliant.
It's great.
So that's the first one.
Mhm.
The second one is probably what I would pick, which is the bundle for thread and batting. So it's superior threads. Do
Yep.
we know how many cones?
I don't, but
I haven't checked.
it's a lot, and it's really great thread. And
Yes.
the batting is an entire roll, 25 yards.
Oh,
of
I
a
didn't mention that.
fantastic. I know. I realized that we didn't mention that.
Yeah,
before.
that's a lot of batting.
25 yards. Do you know how many quilts that is? It's a lot of quilts. And it's 96 inches wide. So it's up to that king size quilt, which
Yeah.
is great.
That's perfect. Okay, so that's the one that I would pick if I were doing this.
Mhm.
Because you never have enough thread. You always
I
need
know.
more thread.
And
And then you get
batting.
to try all different kinds of thread. And then you're set up to make, 2 quilts. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. That's a lot of quilts, 25 yards. The third bundle that you can pick from is Pro Stitcher Designs. We're doing a $500 credit to the Pro Stitcher Designs library on the Pro Stitcher website. And you can pick anything?
Yeah.
Anything on the Pro Stitcher website with that credit. So, which maybe I would probably do that one too.
If you're adding a Pro Stitcher, it's a
That's
great
the way
way
to
to
go.
beef up that Pro Stitcher library that already comes with your Pro Stitcher.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would do that too.
So it depends on how much thread you already have kicking around.
Yeah.
How much batting you already have kicking around, and how much light you already have.
Yeah.
Whether you're going for the Pro Stitcher patterns or not.
That's
Yep.
true. A lot
Yep.
of things to consider.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
really fast.
Yeah, let's talk about.
There's a lot of things that are similar. That's why they're in the same family. And these machines are on the same frame.
Yep. The loft
Did we need
frame.
to talk more about the loft?
So the loft frame, just so you know, as you mentioned, comes standard at 8 foot. It is adjustable, so you can set it up at a lower or a taller height, depending on what works for you. And you can add a 2-foot extension to it. So you can have up to a 10-foot frame, which let me tell you something, 10 foot is oodles. My frame at home, I have it in a Mara 24, and mine is set up on a 10-foot frame.
Oh, really?
And in all the years I've had it, I've only had 2 times that I've had a quilt that
didn't fit.
That didn't fit. So,
Yeah.
A 10-foot frame, you can do up to any of those wide backs. That 104-inch wide back fabric fits on there. It just fits on there, and you can do all of it.
Yeah.
So that 2-foot extension is great.
Yeah.
And if you do smaller quilts, that 8-foot is really nice, especially if you're a little crunched for space.
Yes.
Yep.
Which is why you would go with something like an 8-foot frame. Because really, when we talk with quilters about what kind of quilt do you, or what kind of machine and what kind of frame, the answer is always go as big as you can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you'll be wanting more space no matter what. Even I have my Amara on a 12-foot frame, and there are times when I'm like, oh man, maybe another 2 feet would be good. I don't ever use it, but
yeah. So that extra space. But depending on what works for you, we've got you covered. One of the cool things is on the website, if you actually go to the individual page for any of our machines, there's a little diagram there that shows you about what the footprint needs to be for that machine on the frame.
Yes.
So if you're not sure if you have enough room, you can go to the website and go to handyquilter.com, and you can click on whichever machine, for example, the Moxie XL. You can take a look at that little diagram. And then here's a great tip. This is what I did when I originally got my long arm, because I was trying to figure out these things we were going to talk about, things that helped us choose which long arm was going to be right for us. Deciding what would fit in my space. So what I did was I took that little diagram that I got on a cell sheet, took it home, and then I took some masking tape and I masked it out on the floor. And then, because when you just look at that on the floor, you're like, okay, that's great, but how much space does it really take?
Yeah.
Then I took and just stacked a bunch of empty boxes there to fill up the space. So I actually got a feel for the amount of space that it filled up in my room.
And how you'd have to walk around
it. Exactly. I was able to figure out how far away from the wall and all those things. So my first machine was an Avante, 18-inch machine.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was able to figure out exactly where it would fit in that corner of the basement, because I was like you. It was in the corner of the basement with the kids.
Yep. Kids on one side, me on the other.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. What size of frame did you go with?
I had a 12-foot frame at that time because I had time for it, or the space for it. But it was one of those, actually masking it out and doing that originally. I remember I kept thinking, oh, I can only do about 12 feet here, because the space I had was about 15 feet long. But I masked out that 10 feet, and I looked at it and I went, you know what? I do have room for that extra 2 feet.
I could do that.
And I did. And I was glad I did it at the time, because at the time I got that machine and I quilted for hire for a lot of years,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
did a lot of those really big quilts.
Yep.
So it was nice to be able to have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't do that so much now, but yeah.
So that one,
loft.
the one you started with was the Avante 18,
Mhm.
which is same as our Moxie.
It's the same size
Same
as
throat
Moxie
space.
XL.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's talk about the Moxie XL.
Okay.
This is such a great machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to bring this over here so you can take a gander.
Yeah.
So when we first came out with the Moxie, I was actually really excited. This is so silly, but I was really excited about the stickers at the back. I loved the little pop of color.
I know. So fun.
That's just me. So yes, 18 inches of throat space.
Mhm.
It's very similar to our Moxie. It's a little bit faster.
Yes.
It also has a touch screen.
Yes.
So
that's a bigger screen.
Yes, one of the really cool things, so that you don't have to use the buttons to cycle through. You can actually just touch the screen here. And you can do, so what she's touching right now, I'm not sure if we can see it. Okay, good. So she's going through, there's 3 different modes for stitches. You're able to just select your mode right there, and you can make the adjustments that you want to, which makes basting very easy with the Moxie XL. You can baste with all the machines.
Yep.
You simply just drop your stitches per inch down to 4, and then 4 stitches per inch gives you a nice basting stitch across the thing. And you can see we've actually done we pre-basted this one.
Yep.
So there's basting stitches here. This is it was with the Moxie or Moxie XL?
I did it with XL.
Yeah. So this is the 4 stitches per inch to give you your basting stitch here across the quilt.
Yep.
So you can also drop your needle, do your needle
right
down,
here.
needle up like I like to do.
One of the things I want to show everybody, we mentioned the lights. So let's turn on the lights here with this one. So I'm going to turn on the lights because this is something really cool that we did with this. So I'm just upping the lights here and we're getting like a whiteout, but on the XL, we actually have lights that come right down here next to the needle. And then we were trying to figure out a little something extra we can do.
Yes.
So you guys know that the tagline for Handy Quilter is by quilters for quilters. And I want you to know that they really do listen to us quilters here. The engineers came up and said, hey, what do you guys think about putting a light right here on the back of the throat space? So you guys can see if I put my hand over that, because we wanted to sneak a little bit of extra light in here. And we were like, that is awesome. So isn't that a cool idea?
That is really cool.
Thought up by the engineers and gold starred by us quilters here at Handy Quilter.
Yeah.
So it's great because we have all of this fabulous light here in the throat space. And the cool thing is it's adjustable, because sometimes depending on what's going on, what type of fabric you're working on, what type of work you're doing, you may want to actually take that light down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way down, but you can see how easy it is to make that adjustment.
Yes. I find that if I'm doing a lot of white on white, I'll take the lighting down.
Because you need a little bit more of a shadow.
Yes.
Exactly, to be able to see what you're doing. Absolutely.
Oh, don't forget this part. This is my very favorite.
This is so cool. Okay, you guys can't see this on this side, but one of the things that is so cool on the Amara is we have. Well, no.
Oh,
I'm talking about the design process here.
Yes.
So we always show people the tool minder, the tool collar on the Amara, which is up here, and it's a magnet, so you can put a pair of scissors there. And we were trying to figure out, okay, how can we add a little something like that into the Moxie XL? Well, what we did was we played around with some magnets, and you guys, literally, we were in the studio. We took this piece off the front of the Moxie XL right here when it was in prototype, and this plastic piece here, and we put magnets on the inside here with little double-sided sticky tape, trying to figure out where to do it. And we figured out, you guys will be able to see here, if I put that pair of scissors right there, you can see them sticking out.
Yep.
So there's a magnet right here in the front of this plastic piece that will just hold your scissors right there,
which is perfect.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
So your scissors are right there, easy to grab, and they won't fall off. We used a really strong magnet, so you don't have to worry about, because there's a little bit of vibration with these machines. Of course, they're moving, but it's not going to fall off.
I've never had one fall off.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh, never.
Yeah.
Never.
And
and you have a Moxie XL at home.
Yes.
You have an XL and an
Amara. And I have to say, I kind of like the magnet better on my Moxie than the magnet collar on my Amara.
Well, it's because it's up front here. And let me tell you something. It's something that we're talking about and we've recognized. And we're always looking for that next great thing. So yeah, it's very cool.
And I love that you were part of the development for these machines. Because you got to give the quilter insight.
Yeah.
Because By
Absolutely.
quilters for quilters.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really smart team of engineers that work downstairs. So just those of you that ever get the chance to visit Handy Quilter, upstairs, we have a second story, and that is where the education studio is, the filming studio is that we are right now. And we have all this great space upstairs, but downstairs, right underneath the filming studio, is where the product development team sits, and we have a software team, and we have some mechanical engineers and electrical engineers that design these machines.
Yep.
And they come upstairs often to bounce ideas off of us
And get your input.
and get our input. We get to go downstairs in the testing lab and try things out. So it's pretty cool. Just so that you guys know, we love your feedback. We've actually come up with some really great things directly from the customer. So I want to show you guys this too. It's actually kind of fun when I get a chance to share some of this stuff, because not everybody knows this. So shortly after the Moxie came out, this is a story that you probably don't even know.
I don't know.
Shortly after the Moxie came out, I was invited to go to Hawaii to work at a show. And while I was there, I met a really awesome customer, and she had just bought a Moxie, and she had the loft frame. And she's like, Kim, I want to show you something. And she showed me a picture of these pole cradles. So if we look down here on the end of the loft frame, there's this little black piece of plastic, little pole cradle here that allows you to pop out the, so if you want to, actually we'll have to do it on that end, I forget.
There we go.
So you pop it out there and you pop it up, and then I'll pop it out on this end so that you can pop it up, and we can just pop that pole and we can let it rest here. She came and showed me that she had made these. Her husband had a 3D printer and she designed it. And you guys, she was so awesome. She sent me the file.
What? I didn't know that.
The file. I gave it to the engineers with her full permission, and we started making them.
Wow.
So we truly do. We listen to our customers. You guys come up with great ideas. You send us great ideas, and we absolutely take that feedback and incorporate it to make our machines and frames better.
Yeah.
So let's pop this back in here.
Yep.
I'll do my end first. So this one pops back in there.
Because originally this didn't have any kind of pole cradle.
It didn't. And it was always kind of a plan that we would add one later. But how cool is it that we actually had one of our customers, one of our consumers who quilts on a Moxie?
Yeah.
It's really great.
That's really cool.
She also, one of the reasons why she absolutely loves the Moxie is it's a frame that we're able to set up very low, because she is very short. She's so fantastic. So yeah,
was this the first frame that went that low? I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think it goes very short. I think it was.
So when I was setting my frame up for my Moxie XL, I just set it up and had it standing before I adjusted the height, and I was like, this is really short.
This was really short. And then you raised it. And
and now it is very adjustable, which I love. So, but if you have people that don't want to be bending over and hurting your back, this is a good way to go.
Yep. So let's talk for a second about a myth about machines on a frame.
Tell me.
I think that true or false, you always have to stand up at a frame.
Oh, false.
Because what are we doing right now?
We're sitting.
We're actually sitting on stools. So don't let the fact that maybe standing for long periods of time is hard for you prevent you from getting a long arm on a frame mounted long arm, if that's what you really want. Because I'm actually somebody who I pretty much sit
the whole time.
All the time.
Really?
Except for maybe when I'm loading my machine.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm even feeling a little, we'll call it efficient, not lazy. And I sit while I quilt on my frame. I sit while I load. I sit while I do all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So don't let that be
your back, though.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, especially when you're doing it for long periods of time. So
all the custom quilting for sure. Yeah.
Especially when you're working in certain areas, maybe you're doing micro quilting, things like that. You can kind of lean over and brace yourself and do all that good stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Support yourself better.
Okay, so what else about the Moxie XL? Let's go through some of the things on the Moxie XL, and then I think we'll be making a switch over to the Amara. So let's finish talking about all the great features on the Moxie XL. So 18 inches of throat space.
Yes.
So you have 3 more inches of throat space than the Moxie.
You can also put Pro Stitcher on the Moxie XL.
And it's Pro Stitcher Light for both of them.
Yep.
You can absolutely do all of the things that we talked about here. The interchangeable feet. You can add the ruler base. You can do a quilt from the back. Add that Pro Stitcher.
Okay, let me ask you this. If I have a Moxie and I want to upgrade to a Moxie XL, do I have to get a new carriage?
No, you don't.
Okay.
Well, actually, okay. Sorry. Yes, you do. You got to get a new carriage. But
It's
if
the same
you
4-wheel
have-
carriage system.
Yes,
but
yes, it is. It is a larger carriage. Sorry, it's the same. But if you have a Pro Stitcher on your Moxie and you want to upgrade to the Moxie XL, you can actually move that Pro Stitcher from the Moxie to the Moxie XL. This is actually something that's exclusive to the Moxie family. Only in the Moxie family can you do that. Can you move a Pro Stitcher from one machine to the other machine? And the reason why is, once again, trying to keep that price point a little more budget friendly. When you get a Pro Stitcher for either one of these, you get a tray that you screw into, you attach it to the carriage, the current carriage. You don't get a new carriage. Whereas with the Amara family, for example, you get an entirely new carriage. So once again, helped us keep that price point a little bit more budget friendly, but it does allow you to move it from one machine to the other machine.
Which is pretty cool.
It is. It really is. It's pretty darn cool. So the Moxie
Or
XL,
you could just kind of upgrade and get a new Pro Stitcher too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will not tell you no.
No. Sometimes it's better if you're wanting to upgrade just to sell the system currently as it is and get a new system.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. So any other, I'm trying to think, Moxie XL, any other, I really feel like we pretty much have covered it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of my favorite things about the Moxie XL. It's so quiet.
Oh, yes.
It's such a well-behaved, polite little machine. I'm not kidding. I still remember when it was they first brought it upstairs to the education studio and we set it up and it was running and we could have a conversation without having to raise our voices at all.
Yeah.
So if you'd like a polite machine that just quilts quietly in the background, the Moxie XL is the machine for you. I think we have a question. Go ahead, Brianne.
Is there an attachment to hold a roll of batting underneath the
under the loft frame? Oh, so so they're asking, is there an attachment for this loft frame to hold a roll of batting?
A roll of batting?
Yes. Which
the answer is actually no.
Sorry.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yes, that's the correct answer. Correct question. Give me the answer.
Okay, sorry. Sorry. Let's try that again. The question is there a batting pole on the loft frame? The answer is no.
The answer is no. And that is the correct question.
Yes, that is the correct question.
So that's one of those things that we did to kind of keep it budget friendly, right? So just get an Amara.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
If you want a batting pole, get an Amara.
Exactly.
Which I love mine. I do fit 2 whole rolls of batting under my Amara.
Me too.
So
me too. You could easily set a roll of batting.
There's enough room.
Frame. Just going to say that.
Yeah.
You absolutely
just have
can.
it on the ground.
Okay. Another question. Yay. We love questions. Okay. So the hand wheels, we actually have one added here. So
Can we get there?
I was going to say, Shauna is going to style this for us.
It's kind of over here off to the side.
So we recommend if you're going to add a hand wheel to the loft frame, add it to the take-up pole, which is the pole that your finished quilt, as it's finished, it rolls onto it. That's why we call it the take-up pole. You can also add a second one onto the backing pole. So if you wanted to, you could add one here, the backing pole.
Yes. And your $50 gift card would work if you wanted to get another hand wheel.
Absolutely.
So just say it.
Yeah. You can
hashtag HQ Elves.
There you go.
Put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. Now, let's just take a quick hot second and talk about the third member of the Moxie family, which we don't have on show here, but it is our stationary. It's the Moxie ST. Same size as the Moxie XL, 18-inch throat space. It sits in a table that is
36, right? Or is it 30?
No, it's 30. It's not 36. It's 38 by 38. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. And it has the built-in Insight stitch regulation. It's easy it is so easy. If you definitely prefer to move the fabric instead of moving the machine, and you're really crunched for space, it is a fantastic machine for that.
It's an easy transition though, going from domestic machine quilting to the Moxie ST.
Absolutely, because it's exactly the same thing. Only you're going to have that built-in stitch regulation. You have 18 inches of throat space. And let me tell you something, it's great because you have a full 18 inches of throat space you can take advantage of. The fact that the machine is in the orientation where the throat space is away from you instead of to the side, it makes it easier to actually control your quilt. And to that table, the inside table, you can add table extensions to it that double the size of the entire table. And the nice thing is they fold down. So if you're crunched for space, you can put that on casters and you can push it in a corner of the room. So just
we should mention though the Insight, you talked about that on the Moxie. Some people don't know what that is. So there are sensors at the needle plate that actually read the movement of the fabric so that they can give you regulated stitches, which is really cool. Because if you're not moving the machine, it's like, oh, well, we can't use the computer or, you know, the encoders to tell us where we are. So they have the Insight sensors. So get really good stitches that way.
Just move the fabric over the top of it and you get that beautiful consistent stitch that Handy Quilter is really known for. So yeah, so that's the third member of the Moxie family. So we really have a machine in the Moxie family that's going to fit your budget and your space. So we got you covered there.
We do. We got you covered.
All right. Well, I think it's time to make the switch to
the Amara.
So we're going to take a minute here and we're going to shut down these machines. We're going to need to turn them off.
Okay.
And we are going to swap out and do that. Okay. We're going to mute for a couple minutes so that you don't hear us doing all that pushing around. We will be back Yes.
Yes, we're talking. Are we muted?
And we are back.
Yes, you're back.
We are back. All right. Thanks, everybody. Did you guys enjoy our little switcheroo there? The fun of having us be the crew in addition to
But
the
also
talent.
the fun of casters.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this is definitely something to consider. You guys saw how easy it was to move the machines around. If you have, once again, a little bit of a tight space, you can always put your machine on casters, and it's pretty darn easy to move around. So let's talk about what we've got here. So first of all, we now have the Amara right here, and we have this set up on a different, so we're going to do a little bit backwards this time.
I love it.
We're going to talk about the frame first because we need to load. We're going to
Yes.
show everybody how easy it is to load.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So this, what is this frame called?
This is our studio.
Exactly.
And this is what I have at home.
Mhm.
I think mine's a little bit of an earlier version. But I will tell you my very favorite feature. This is so silly, but my favorite feature on this frame is actually the bungee clamps on the side.
Oh, I know.
That was like
Seriously,
a brilliant
The
engineering move.
bungee grabbers. Once
Yes.
again, you guys, let me tell you how cool this is.
Yeah.
So story behind it.
Okay.
With the engineering, Gary, who was our lead engineer at the time, he came up and he's like, I was out boating with my grandkids over the weekend, and we've been trying to come up with a way to what holds the bungees on the side
Yeah.
to find something that's a little bit easier to use. He's like, I think I found something inspiration from
Boating.
From boating. So it's like the boat cleats that you use because you can adjust it with one hand.
Yeah.
Which is
It's
super cool.
nice.
Which is super cool.
Yes.
So
Hey guys.
Mhm. Okay. Of course.
They can't hear me.
I'm gonna turn this off.
Do you want me to? Can't hear us. If you're watching. Oh, don't. Some people can hear. We're back. Okay.
Mhm.
Don't forget. I was gonna say comment
Yes.
hashtag HQElves for your
Yes.
gift card giveaway.
Yes.
How do you sign quilting?
You spell it. So someone asked like, how do you sign quilting? Quilting. You just go quilting.
Okay. We need to come up with a better sign for that.
I'll talk with the peeps.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You
We'll figure
talk.
it out.
You talk, and let's come up with something cool. Something cool.
Yeah.
For that. Yeah,
We'll
have to come up with
figure
something
it
cool.
out.
Okay, so we're talking about the studio frame, and
Mhm.
you said you have a studio frame. We were just talking about the bungee grabbers here on the side.
Yes.
So these are the bungee grabbers we're talking about because look, you can adjust them with so if this is being held out here, you can adjust them with one hand. You
Mhm.
don't have to use two hands.
Because
which
the
is
old
the
ones
way
you would have to
You would always
almost
have to
floss
do it
them.
with two hands.
Yeah.
So you can easily adjust with just one hand.
Yep.
Which is really nice. So
And this has built-in pole cradles.
yes, built-in pole cradles
Mhm.
here. And we do have the extra hand wheel added to this one here on the front.
Yes.
And this is set up in standard view. So the nice thing is this little part of the frame right here is adjustable. We simply unscrew this knob and adjust it to the lower for clear view.
Mhm.
But we'll just leave it where it is right now.
So the one difference, in case people don't know,
Mhm.
standard view and clear view.
Mhm.
I prefer to quilt in clear view all the
Me too.
time.
Me too.
Yes. Okay. So it's because it gives you just a little bit more space to see clearly.
Mhm,
If you're doing like ruler work or something, you
Mhm.
just have your throat space doesn't get any bigger, right,
Mhm.
when you're in
Yep.
clear view.
Yep.
But it just gives you a little bit more space to kind of see what you're working on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It just makes it straight all the way across.
Mhm.
And you actually switch and you end up loading the backing on this pole, the pole that's just on the inside, and then the quilt top on the pole that's closest to you.
Yes.
It's a little
So
bit
you
different.
do a little switch, but it's
Mhm.
very easy.
Yep, it really is. It really is. So let's talk about the leaders that come with the studio frame.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that's really cool is, once again, we're always trying to come up with ways to make it easier for you to do. So we came up with this idea of what is the leader that goes on the take up pole here called?
This one, so this is our super leader.
Mhm.
And you can see, hopefully you can see, we have,
It's huge.
will you unlock that
Yep.
on this side for me?
Yep.
Oh, thank
There
you.
you go.
So you can see that it comes all the way to the front poles here. so that you can pin. This is for pinning your backing when you're loading your quilt. You can pin it here at the front and you don't have to bend over and reach at the back, right?
Exactly.
So this is great. You know, we talked a little bit about if you're having back problems, you can like lower the machine to sit.
Yep.
This is another way that we're like, you know, we have all sorts of quilters from all walks of life and we want everyone to have access to this machine. So this is our super leader. You could, hey, you could probably use your gift card on a super leader.
You could. You could buy a second set of leaders, which I actually highly recommend.
Yes.
Get that second set of leaders, and then you can cut it down into smaller so that and then you have 3 sets of leaders.
Yes. And
game changer. And
why
we'll
would I want that?
Well, we're going to show you in just a second because we're actually going to load a quilt. We're going to show you a way to do this.
Yes.
So the super leaders are really cool. Super leaders come standard with the studio frame and with the gallery frame.
Yes.
Which is what the Amara 24 goes on. So we're now switching up.
I had to get some because my machine was the first studio.
You got the Studio 2 frame.
Oh, yes, Studio
which
2.
Did not come with standard with the super leader. The Studio 3 frame, which is what we have set up here, does now come standard with the super leader.
We should also mention this too. Don't forget. I mean, you're doing good.
We have one of the things that's really cool about the Studio 3 frame is, once again, we're always trying to make things better. So we were trying to figure out how to integrate in the highlight so that it wasn't a standalone thing. So this actually integrates in. So if you look down here, you can see that the the highlight comes down, and there's actually a bracket built into the frame right down here. You guys probably can't quite see that, but it's one of the things that we re-engineered with the Studio 3 frame. So that this is built in, it is part of the frame. Once again, it's an add-on. So just remember, right now we have that promo going on, choose your own bundle. If you are buying a brand new Amara 20, you can add this highlight that's integrated into your frame and no extra cost.
Yes.
Because that could be your bundle. Yep, that you pick.
So I am curious though, how adjustable is the highlight?
It's meaning,
so like, because if we get different, like,
okay, so if it's integrated into the frame, it's one size, right? One size is going to fit it. If you want one that fits outside of the frame, that's a freestanding one, which those ones aren't available. Yeah, it's adjustable. Do you mean the height of it?
No, like if I get like a 10 foot or 12 foot.
Oh, like, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. No. We have whichever size frame, whichever Studio 3 size frame you order, there is an option with a highlight that will fit it.
Yeah, okay. That's
yes. Let's turn it on so you guys can see how bright and light this is. You guys, this is amazing. Look at that light. Look at that light.
And this is our toggle switch. It's a very easy toggle switch.
Yep.
And you can just have it plugged into an outlet. Just turn it off and on as you go. It's great. Yep.
But that, we actually, Lily just had to adjust the brightness on the camera because there is so much light now. But you can just see what a difference that light makes. It really does. Just like you said, even when you're not quilting, you still turn on your highlight.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
I do too.
Because it does my whole room.
So this is something that's really cool. I'm going to show you guys. So the way that these, once again, trying to come up with new and innovative ways, the way that these actually attach to this light bar is with magnets.
Oh, I forgot about this. You guys, this is my favorite
So
thing.
one of the cool things is depending on how and where you want the light. So say that I actually wanted the light to be more out this way. I can easily adjust it for that. How cool is that?
Yep. And it's so easy to set up. So the old brackets were fine, right? But this is so much easier to set up.
It really is.
It's amazing.
Because you can adjust them where you want them to be.
Yep. I forgot about that.
That is very cool.
I'm so glad
thanks for reminding us about that, Lily. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so
do you want this off or on?
The ultimate
lighting?
accessory.
Okay.
We can turn it off. Okay, we're going to turn it off so we're not like
blinding you.
Just overwhelming you guys with light. Okay, so one of the really cool things about all the leader sets on all of our frames is they attach to the frame with Velcro. Now, you're probably going, well, why is that handy? Well, let's show everybody.
Yes. And I will tell you, when I first realized this, I was like, well, that can't be very sturdy. It's incredible how you get nice square quilts every single time. So just destroyed. No, I'm kidding.
No. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling this off because we're going to show you guys there's lots of different ways to attach your quilts to the leaders. Yes, we have a quick question.
How do you decide like 1 liter makes 2 lap size quilts?
So we have to answer, say the question, sorry.
So the question is, how do you decide what size to cut down a larger leader set into? So my recommendation is the leader set comes in like 12 foot. So I cut them down at 7 and 5 because those fit sizes of quilts that I usually do. So what you want to do is think about the size of quilts you usually quilt, and then you can kind of make a determination from that. And what I do is I cut down all 3 leaders so that I have a full set that are a super leader at 5 foot, and then 2 of the regular leaders at the 5 foot also. And then I do the same thing with the 7 foot. And then on that edge that I've cut, I have a serger. I just use a serger on it. Or we've done this here in the studio a few times when we've cut them down. Just use a zigzag on your domestic machine to zigzag that edge. It's a steady or a sturdy
kind of like a
canvas, so it doesn't really fray anyway.
Yeah.
But you just finish that edge a little bit, and then you're good to go. So we just pulled these off. You guys saw how easy that is. We just unroll it, and we're just unvelcroing it. Now, a little something we've done is if you look at the poles here, there's actually a mark with a pink marker right here on it. And then I have a corresponding mark on the other end of my leader, and it lets me know where my centers are, so that as I load everything, I can make sure that all of my leaders line up. So we mark them.
And we have this fancy thing. I don't know if the camera can see, but over here, we're just keeping all of these down here. This is
the ultimate accessory for your frame.
This
secret drawer.
Secret drawer. And you can actually orient these both directions, right?
Yep.
So this one is pulling to open at the front of the frame. But if you wanted and you had more space in your setup, you can actually turn it and open it towards the back of the frame.
Exactly.
So I just finally got one for my machine. I'm going to set it up this week.
And they're so amazing.
Yeah.
So when you purchase any of our machines, it comes with a box of the nice big corsage pins, which is like, I like to think of it as like the quick and dirty way to attach your a quilt to leaders. Yeah. So this quilt here is one that we have set up so that we can basically demo with filming. But what we've done is instead of attaching it with pins, because if we're pulling it off like this, it would be a little bit dicey to have all those pins. What I've done
you can do it.
is, you can, but I have just used my domestic machine and I've set it to a really long stitch length, and I have basted this right onto the leader. So that's another option that you can absolutely do. Okay, now this is going to be the fun thing because yes, this is the top. I actually, you guys are going to laugh, I accidentally stitched this onto it with the leader flipped the wrong way. So we're going to show you the fact that with the Velcro, you can still make it work. So technically, I should have this pattern side out, but you guys are going to see the other side. So what we're going to do is put it through here. I'm finding the center mark that I have here, and I'm lining it up with the center mark here. And what I'm doing is I'm just flipping that edge over and lining up the Velcro. So even though I stitched it on there upside down, because Velcro is super versatile here on the edge, I can make this work. Yep. I know, that's me.
As we're loading this, make sure you're going behind the idle pole too.
Yes. And the really nice thing is if you happen to not get it behind the idle pole, which is the pole that sits here underneath the take-up pole, and it's what keeps the fabric nice and flat. If you happen to miss that, you just undo the Velcro and put it back on there. Yep. Okay. So now we have that on there, and what we're going to do is just roll it up a little bit. I'm going to step over here. Okay. Shauna's going to help me make sure that that end, I don't get any bunching on my leader. And we're just going to go ahead and roll it.
Okay, go.
And then I'm just going to drop my
your ratchet stop.
The ratchet stop. Yep. Okay. Now we have the other 2 ends of the fabric here are attached. This is actually basted already here along the top. So Shauna, we're going to grab this quilt top part, which does have, it is attached to a leader, but we're just going to take that and flip it up here out of the way right now. And then we're going to take the backing, which once again, it's basted to the leader, and we're going to take it underneath. We're going to find the center, and we're loading it onto the pole that's closest to us. So that's the backing pole. And Shauna and I are just going to smooth it right on down. And we really recommend you always start in the center and smooth your way out. And then,
not just for loading like this, like any time you're loading anything center out.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're going to smooth. It's actually kind of nice to have a buddy because we can both
Oh,
smooth, and
wait.
you always want to smooth from the center
Your
out.
buddy was too slow.
Sorry.
Okay, go.
We're going to do it from the center out. There we go. And we're going to see, okay. And I can see here that part of this is already quilted on the top. So Shauna, you want to grab that top and pull it back. It's got a little bit of quilting down here. So we're just going to roll this up until we get to the point where we are. There we go. Okay. Now, to roll this last little bit here, what we're going to do is we're going to use the pole cradles to lift up this pole and rest it in the pole cradle. Now, this is going to give us the opportunity here to easily pull the batting through. Okay. And then we are also going to take the quilt top here that is basted onto this. Yep. And once again, we're going to find the center of that. And then Shauna's going to smooth that way, and I'm going to smooth this way.
So I'm going to ask you,
Mhm.
have you ever done it where you load the quilt top leader before the backing leader?
Yeah.
What do you
I
prefer?
have. So
Like what pros and cons?
I teach it what we call the 1, 2, 3 method. So if anybody has questions on how to load, the simplest way to do it is a 1, 2, 3 method, meaning you start with the pole closest to you, you load that first, and then you move your way through it. So we actually have a video on our YouTube channel.
Pop it back in the cradle.
Called 1, 2, 3. And you know what? What we're going to do is we're going to keep it in the cradle as we start rolling this so that we're not rolling against the batting.
Oh, right.
Okay. So this is not the way you would normally load a quilt. I just want to let everybody know this. This is a mid-project, switching it back, keeping everything controlled. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And now we're going to go ahead and lift it down and pop it in place. And then we'll drop our ratchet stops. And look at that.
Good to go.
We got everything lined up. There's a bunch of beautiful stitching on this already done. We are ready to just go ahead and keep working on this.
Yeah.
And look at how simple that was. That really was.
Yes, which is why we suggest extra leaders.
Yes, it really is. It really is. So let's both pull up a chair here. And we're going to show you guys, especially because this frame happens to be adjusted for Sandy.
We love Sandy.
Those of you that were watching yesterday, you guys saw Sandy. So Sandy comes up to about here on me, literally. So when Sandy and I quilt together, I am definitely sitting. Actually, we're usually both sitting because that way it's a little more comfortable for both of us. Yeah. But that is one of the things that's nice is if you do share your frame with somebody, you do share your machine with somebody. If you both sit, you can it's probably a little bit easier to find a height that is comfortable for both of you. So just a thought. Okay, so we want to talk about the Amara. So I'm going to grab the Amara and pull it over here. And I want to scoot it down by you.
Okay.
So that we can kind of take a look at this. And let's talk about some of our favorite features of the Amara. And especially, this is your machine.
Yeah.
This is the one you quilt on.
So yeah,
so talk to us about it.
I'm going to tell you probably how I ended up deciding.
Yes.
Selecting the Amara, right? So the Amara is a 20-inch throat space. It's a nice sweet spot in between our 15-inch throat space. And then we have even bigger ones, but we're focusing on the Amara, right? So
Amara 20,
oh yes, I should say this. We do have the Amara 20 and we have the Amara 24. So that's just a 4-inch difference in throat space.
And the rest of the features are basically really the same. The same. The biggest difference, just a quick caveat between the Amara 20 and the Amara 24, that 4 inches of throat space, and the Amara 24 comes on the gallery frame, which is just a beefier version of the studio frame.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I started, we kind of talked about this already. I started on the original vintage HQ16. Absolutely loved it. That thing is a workhorse. I've shared this before, but I dumped it off of my frame.
Oh, really?
And
I
so I had it unbuckled. That's what I call it, because it was a very old, it was the original frame system too, where you like put the side frames on.
You clamp it on a
folding
table.
Yeah. Very original. So I had it unbuckled because I was adjusting things.
Okay.
And my toddler ran by right as I bumped one of the poles and the machine toppled off the frame. It was bad. And so
goodness.
toddler was fine. He didn't get squished,
Good.
right?
And the machine was okay too, right?
Well, it took me 2 days to like get up the courage to go back in because I'm like, oh, what did I do?
Oh.
Yeah. So I went back in, picked up my HQ16, put it back on the frame. The only thing that was broken was my thread mast.
Oh,
The only thing.
well, that's
It
pretty
wasn't
easy
out
to
of
fix.
timing.
Really?
No, nothing. So
Oh.
I put it back on the frame and just started stitching. So when I say that's a workhorse, I mean these machines are workhorses. I do not recommend dumping them off the table. Don't do that. But I'm just saying, like, these machines are built to last. So that was my original HQ16.
Okay.
Absolutely loved it. Did not have stitch regulation, right? So when I started looking into upgrading, I shopped around a lot. I tried different brands. I tried these brands. I had a very, very patient salesperson. And what it ultimately came down to was I wasn't convinced if I wanted Pro Stitcher or not, but I knew I wanted to be able to do free motion quilting with potentially getting Pro Stitcher.
Okay.
And so I was guided by my incredible salesperson because, like, talking it through, they give you throat space, frame space, all the things, and it's a lot of numbers and a lot to consider.
Yeah.
So what it really came down to was I still wanted to be able to manipulate the machine for free motion quilting, but have enough throat space that I could get good distance computerized edge to edge. So that's why I went with 20, the Amar 20, because it's still a small enough throat space that I can comfortably maneuver the machine for free motion quilting across an entire quilt.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting Pro Stitcher, and now I don't. I do still do free motion quilting, but I would say 90% of what I do is edge to edge computerized with Pro Stitcher because I love it that much.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the features, the biggest difference here is probably that it's on a different carriage. It's a beefier machine. So this machine does have our 8-wheel carriage system. I don't know if we can show that. Was that a hard thing to show?
We can
Let's scooch
scooch
it
it
down and
over
see.
here so that we can see if so
Yes.
right here I'm pointing to, so what makes the 8 wheels is the fact that there's a wheel on each side that glides along these black strips.
Yeah.
So there's 2, 4, 6, 8. So there's 8 wheels on the carriage here. There's still 4 wheels just on the machine, but the 8-wheel carriage. And the reason why we have the 8-wheel carriage is because this is a heavier machine, right? So it needs a little bit of a sturdier carriage to move on.
But the wheels are actually at a V, and so you still get very precise movement.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, which I absolutely love. The other thing about this, so the thread mast is in a slightly different place than on the Moxie, and we actually have 2 places here where you can have thread. Not a lot of people know this, but you can actually do 2 threads at the same time.
You can stitch with 2 threads at the same time.
I know. Christina loves to do that. That's one of her little tricks that she does. It adds a little bit of pop when you're doing your quilting. We do have these cool things if you wanted to do like different thread types. We have the horizontal spool pin that you can get with your $50 gift card.
There you go.
Hashtag HQ Elves because you guys are entering, remember. So everything else is pretty similar. We have our tension discs that are the same as the Moxie. But you can see right here, this is what we talked about being different. This is the tool collar. It's not magnetic on this side. We didn't want to interfere with the thread path. So it's only magnetic on the left side here. So you can't see with the camera, but we do have a set of scissors here on the magnetic collar.
Do you keep anything else on your magnetic collar at home?
Actually, I do. So I keep my special needle. What are they called? They're the needles that are for if you're going to tie and bury your threads.
Oh.
So when you're doing a lot of custom quilting,
yeah,
you leave the thread. So we actually have a thread here, Tal, that I can maybe kind of show you.
You've got some.
Yeah, which is perfect. So we have these threads here. So what you do is you make sure that they're tied off. You thread it through a needle, and then you bury it in between the quilt top and the quilt bottom.
Right.
And so that's how you custom quilting, you can bury your threads.
Oh.
So I use my needle, but it's a very special needle. That's why it's the only one that lives on my collar, but it's a side threading needle. So you don't have to go through the eye. There's a little slit that you can just pop the thread in.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but is there another name for those?
Well, they're like easy thread because it's a little thing that you, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Which is no help for me to
so
tell you
cool.
the name, but so that I keep it there. So I'm like, when I have to bury a thread, I know that needle is on my magnetic
there.
collar.
You want to know what I keep on mine?
Yeah,
So
tell me.
this should be our question of the day. What do you keep on your magnetic tool
Yes,
collar?
yes.
I keep my screwdriver that I adjust my bobbin tension with.
Yes.
It lives right there.
Oh, maybe I need to put that one on
Yeah,
there too.
Yeah. And you guys, so I usually have 2 pairs of scissors on there too. So the cool thing about it is it's a strong magnet. You can
Yes.
actually put more than just a pair of scissors on there.
Yes, it will hold a lot.
Yeah.
So I also love that these handles are adjustable. Yes.
That's got to be my favorite thing. I
Yes.
quilt on an Amara 24 and the adjustable handlebars.
Yep.
They're bomb.
Yep, they're bomb. So you can look, we have these little levers, I guess, here.
Yep.
2 on each side so that you can adjust. These actually will pop down. Are you going to be mad if I?
No.
So look,
go for it.
I can just twist it like that and then tighten it back up, and now I can quilt like this. It's for whatever is most comfortable for you as you're quilting. And you can even drop it down lower so that you're close to the quilt for doing your micro quilting. Yep. So I absolutely love these adjustable handles.
One of the things I love about it too is if you do that, go ahead and unscrew it there for a second,
Okay.
is the fact that you can pull them out. So if you are somebody who is not necessarily a long arm quilter, you can get a little bit more reach with that. You can make it's a little bit easier to reach the machine and have a little more depth with it.
I love that. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I don't do mine that way. So
yeah.
Am I going right? There we go.
There you go. But it's nice. And they're independently adjustable. So like I know my machine at home, I tend to adjust the right handle bar more than the left handle bar, because I tend to do a lot of one-handed quilting because you're maybe like
with rulers
or things like that.
Which this does come with a ruler base, but it's going to be a different size ruler base. Yep. Not really different like width-wise, but it's to fit the throat space better.
Yes. And also the way that the little knobs are casted, the pegs are casted.
Yes.
Casted.
Yeah.
Cast.
I like casted. That word.
Casted into the metal part of the machine, the body of the machine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Adjustable handlebars. The lighting. Can we talk about the lighting on this? You guys, lighting. You just can never have too much lighting.
Which again, it's off because we're filming.
But. Yeah, let's turn it, because when we turn it on, this one is going to like blind everything. You guys check out that lighting. I know. I always
off and on again. Here we go. Ready? Okay, this is for filming purposes. We have the light off. This is how I really quilt at home.
Yeah. All of it on. And the cool thing is the throat space lighting is independently adjustable from the needle. So why don't you adjust just whichever one. So this is the throat, or the needle.
So that's the needle.
We just turn that off.
And so now I have a shadow here in the front. So if I turn that all the way back on, we'll do the
other way. So depending, like you mentioned earlier, if you're doing like, say, like a lot of white on white quilting and you need a shadow so that it's a little bit easier to see what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly
it's very, very nice to be able to adjust those lights.
Yeah.
So
this machine does have Pro Stitcher on it. This one is Pro Stitcher Premium. The only difference, the main difference I should say, is Pro Stitcher Premium is for our bigger machines, our heavier machines. Pro Stitcher Light is when you have a lighter carriage or a smaller carriage. So that's the biggest difference. Yeah. Anything you want to add there?
There's Pro Stitcher Light is just a little bit simplified. It doesn't come with quite as many designs, and it has some simplified features. Basically, it's a little bit easier to use.
Yeah, that's very true.
A little bit simpler.
So some people will say, well, what if I want the bigger throat space of the Amara 20, but I want to do Pro Stitcher Light? We say, I'm so sorry, you can't do that.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
Because you have a beefier carriage, you need to have the beefier software. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. I think
we can. So as you mentioned, just like with the Moxie, you can add the ruler base to it.
Yeah.
You can, if Pro Stitcher's not your gig, but you want to do those pantographs, you can absolutely add handlebars to the back of this machine, and you can do a quilt from the back kit. So you can do that too. Okay, we have a question. Go ahead, Brian.
Can dealers do the trade up, or do I need to go through HQ directly?
If you have questions about the trade up, you know what, you can do it either way. You can contact your local retailer and see if they do trade ups. Some do, some don't. You can also give us a call and we can give you an idea of what your trade up value would be. So you actually have lots of options there with the trade up. So just remember that it's a cool new program that we've rolled out. We take all kinds of machines, not just Handy Quilter. So
if you're going to trade in, trade up,
yeah,
we'll help you out.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Very good, Shauna. So the Amara 20 and the Amara 24, they're both absolutely fantastic machines. So Shauna, when you're looking at picking which machine to buy, so one of the things you really talked about with the Amara 20, it was a great fit for you for free motion quilting.
Yes.
So I know that a lot of people who choose to move up to the Amara 24, the reason why they do that is because they know that they're going to be doing a lot of pro stitcher, and they really want to be able to take advantage of that bigger throat space.
Yep.
Now, can you take advantage of the bigger throat space if you're doing free motion quilting?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. You
Is this a trick
can.
question?
No.
Okay.
No. It's not a trick question. I want, like, these are the kind of questions that we get all the time
Right,
that
okay.
people ask. But one thing you do want to consider is going to your local retailer and test driving a machine, or to a show. For example, there's a big AQS show coming up in Grand Rapids, Michigan at the end of next month.
Yeah.
So if you want a great place to try out a machine, that's a great place to go. You can go and visit the Handy Quilter booth and try out, because we have all of the machines set up there. But sit down or stand next to the machine, whatever's most comfortable for you, and really do your quilting and figure out where your sweet spot is, because depending on how much of a long arm quilter you are and the style of quilting you do, you'll figure out the machine that is the right size for you.
Yes.
And luckily we've got machines that everything from the 15-inch all the way up to a 24-inch. We've got a lot of different sizes that will fit what works for you. Yeah. Let's talk about the size of frame this frame comes in. I realize we didn't do that. So it comes in, which sizes does the studio
it's
come
8 feet with, so I guess the easiest way to think about it is we have 4-foot sections and we have 2-foot sections. So you can kind of come up with your own combination for what fits your space. And I actually know one of our national educators did it that way because he wanted to have a frame that would fit his space now, knowing that he was going to get a bigger space later. So you can start at 8 feet. And then you can go 10, 12, you can even go up to 14, can't you?
Not on the studio frame, but on the gallery frame.
Yep.
Yeah. So on an Amara 24, if you really want to be able to do those like king size bedspreads that go all the way down, we do have a 14-foot frame option available
for the gallery.
Frame.
Yep.
And the reason why we don't have that for the studio frame is the diameter of the poles. So these poles here on a studio frame are 1.5 inches diameter. And if we get up to that 14-foot length, we get a little bit of a bow in it, and we don't want that. The gallery frame has a 2-inch diameter. So at that 14-foot, it's still stiff enough that we don't get any of that bowing. So that's one of the reasons why it's that way. It's all about the engineering.
Well, and we want to make sure that you get the results that you want when you have a good, like when you're doing a quilt, you want to keep it square.
Exactly.
So we're not going to give you a product that's not going to keep it square.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Yep. So the things that you can add to a studio frame, as we mentioned before, you can add a highlight, you can add the secret drawer, you can add casters, and
the batting pole.
The batting pole comes with it.
Oh, I forgot. I had to.
Yeah, the batting pole comes with it. Comes with the studio frame and the gallery frame, because you can put how many rolls of batting on it?
2. I fit 2 on mine at 12 feet, right?
Yep.
I wonder, like, if I had smaller rolls, I probably could fit more. But I do the really big rolls.
You can. So I've had some of the smaller rolls of batting. They're only like maybe about right around 90 inches wide, and I've just been able to squish 3 on a 12-foot.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna have to try that.
Yep. Yeah, no, you can do that. I have a 10-foot frame at home, so I only have 2 rolls on it. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. Okay, we've got another question. What's the question? Oh my goodness. Even better. Okay, so we were just told it's time for the drawing. So hopefully you've done the HQ, hashtag HQ elves. Sorry, I can tell it's getting close to lunchtime here. So we're going to go ahead and do a drawing now. I think Brianne is she hitting the button? She's initiating the spin. All the good things are happening.
$50 gift card.
$50 gift card. And we will be informed here in just a second when we have a winner.
Quilting Bear.
So the Quilting Bear is our winner. Yay! Now, you need to email spotlight@handyquilter.com, and then we will reach out to you and get information so we can get that amazing $50 gift card to you.
Batting scissors.
batting scissors, or extra leaders.
Or extra leaders. Oh, right,
Or
that's a
if
good
you
one.
are, if you could add bungee grabbers if you have one
Oh,
of the older frames. I mean, there's
yes.
so many things you could do. You could
Yep.
even use that towards a secret drawer or a
Mm.
highlight.
Yep.
Lots of good things. Lots of good things. So congratulations, Quilted Bear. All right. Well, do we have any other questions about the Amara family?
We've got some questions about the Infinity. Can
Okay.
you just tell folks that
Mhm.
Infinity is still a wonderful machine and we're just working on something
Yes.
special to share later?
So we've had some questions about the Infinity, and people are asking, why aren't you guys showing the Infinity? Well, we're always looking for great new innovative ways to help quilters finish quilts. And the Infinity is, let's say it's one of those things that we're working on right now. So stay tuned. We've got some great things coming. Currently, the Infinity is not available because we had an end of model clearance and we sold all of them.
Wow.
So if you are, and I'm just going to put this out here because I had somebody do this yesterday. If you have been really had your eye on an Infinity and you really want one, go visit your local retailer. And if they have a floor model, talk to
that's
them.
a brilliant way to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I just had somebody
There's
talk to
still
me
a
about
great
that.
machine that
The Infinity is an absolutely fantastic machine. It is definitely our top of the line machine. We
Is
like
it 26 inches?
It's 26 inches of throat space, 3,100 stitches per minute. It comes on that beefy gallery frame. It is an absolutely amazing machine. So many of the things that are other machines we just take for granted now were originally engineered on the Infinity. So it's absolutely a fantastic machine. It even has some really cool upgraded features, like top of the line features, like a bobbin thread cutter built in, which is really nice.
Yep.
And it has a camera underneath so that you don't have to bend over to check your tension.
Yep.
You hit a little button on the screen, that camera turns on, and you are able to see right there how your tension's looking on the bottom of your machine. So yes, the Infinity is fantastic. Yes, question.
With the trade up program,
Mhm.
do you also, if I have a frame, can I still use it or do I need to?
Okay, this is a really good question. They want somebody asked if we're doing the trade up program and I'm trading up a machine, can I just keep my old frame and use it? Well, here's the thing. Our prices on machines always include a frame. So that is actually something different than throughout the rest of the industry. The price includes a frame. So if you are trading up your machine, you are going to trade up that whole old system for a new machine. So we got you covered there. Okay.
I will tell you, because I do know people ask that question a lot. And this is kind of going back to like the incredible customer service that Handy Quilter has. If you are bound and determined and set on keeping something, they'll find a way to make it work, but it won't. So because, my old machine had sat in storage for years and years before I got it, and I was still able to get parts for it, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So we're going to help you. We're going to take care of you, but you got to call us and ask the questions so that we can make sure we get you what you need for your machine.
Exactly. Okay, another question.
Going along with your frames, if I have an older frame and you talked about clear view and standard, is there something to upgrade to get that?
Okay, this is a really good question. Somebody wants to know if they have an older frame that does not have the ability to switch between clear view and standard. Is there an upgrade for that? The answer is yes. Once again, I would really recommend giving us a call or talking to one of our knowledgeable retailers about if your frame is available for this. So for example, if you have one of the original studio frames, and you want to upgrade and to be able to add that ability to do switch from standard to clear view, there is an upgrade kit available for the side arms for a studio. So that is available. So depending on the frame, that may be an option for you. And that's actually a pretty inexpensive upgrade that you can do. Yeah. Any other questions? We've got some great questions here. All right. Well,
Let them know we'll be back at home.
okay, well, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us this morning. Shauna, this was so much fun. Shauna, this is really fun. I have never actually done live stuff with you before, have I?
No,
I don't think I have.
This is us hanging out together.
So, Shauna and I having a little fun here. Well, we've really enjoyed having you this morning. Be sure to check out our trade up program. You can call the number on the screen. And also remember our special promos that we've got going on right now. You can pick your bundle. You can choose to add a highlight to your new machine. You can get that special thread pack from Superior Threads, plus a 25-yard roll of batting.
Yep.
You can choose that one. Or you can add $500 worth of Pro Stitcher patterns to your purchase. So be sure to check those out. We're going to be back after lunch.
Yep.
I think that you've got a project that you're
Yep,
working on.
I'm
after
coming
lunch.
in. We're going to have a new friend join us today.
Yes, that's right.
I get to introduce everyone to Garla,
I'm so excited.
which I'm excited about. And we're going to do a couple projects together. So Christmas themed, of course.
Yes.
Come back and hang out with us. 1 o'clock
Yep.
Mountain Standard Time.
Yep. So just over an hour. We'll see you back then. And so go grab some lunch, take a little break, and we'll see you guys at 1 o'clock Mountain Time.